second row there.
Yes.
Like it. Come on in, grab a seat. It's fully sold out today, so. Hello. Hi, come on in, take a seat. You're quite safe, don't worry. It's okay, it's only a show.
Only a show.
I'm not that kind of comedian, but it's going to be okay. Oh, okay, cool. And yet you came back.
Don't worry, t-shirt.
Just doing it. There you go, this is our peeps now. That's great. It's not even raining.
Scotland, you can always rain.
No, I know. Usually you get even inside. Even, well, this is true. Tell me about it. And sideways as well.
Yes.
What the hell is that all about?
Get you from the front.
Yeah.
Are you with these? No. Oh.
I'm going to film this today, okay? So don't worry, you're not going to be on film. It's going to be okay. But if I do film it, could you do me a huge favour and just pretend to enjoy it? Fuck off. I'm winning the audience already. It's going to be are we all done? Yeah, excellent. So, yeah, basically it's big film. Don't worry, you won't be on film. It's nice to see you familiar. Hello. I'm groovy people who've been before. Listen, I'm a nice comedian. I just might talk to you, but that's going to be it, okay? All right, good stuff. Okay, I'm going to go off because we're filming. Yeah, I know, I feel bumpsy too. Okay. Okay, could we put this out? Lovely. Right, everyone stand a little bit of applause. That's it. Completely impromptu applause. That's really lovely of you. How are we all today? We good? Yeah. Wow, it's going to be awesome. Listen, guys, I'm not going to lie to you. It's the last day of the Fringe. Yeah! For me, it is. Yeah! Honestly, is anyone's first day on the Fringe at all? Oh, welcome. It's anybody's first show. Oh, fuck, pressure. Oh, dear. Listen, if you go and see other shows today, I give you a little top tip. Any comedian you go and see today who comes on and goes, oh, it's lovely to be here. At this stage in the Fringe, they are lying. It's okay. I hate to tell you that, but that's just the truth. But I'm delighted that this is great. This is the last show and it's sold out. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming. It means a lot, really does, because the thing is that when I started doing comedy, everyone told me that the average audience is 4, right? And so I've done the maths. Fuck yes! It's going to be really cool. So it's all going to be good. Right, so, welcome, hello. This is The Vicar's Husband. This is a show about the fact that my wife is training to become a vicar, and I'm an atheist. I should point out that it's not about the breakup of my marriage. It's going to be okay. I should also point out, if there anyone here who does have faith, don't worry, I can watch you. Hello? Hi there. Sorry. No, I'm glad I've created an atmosphere where you feel comfortable enough just to chit-chat. Don't. Do you remember what I said about filming? That's going to cost me a fucking fortune in edit. So no, the thing is, it's not about the breakup of my marriage. Also, I should point out, I've had some lovely audiences. I've had some I'm not going to lie to you, I've had some scary audiences, right? I had an audience of 14, I can't complain. 12 of them sat all in the back rows, right? 2 of them sat right where, the front here, right? I got to the bit where I says, this isn't really an anti-religion show, right? And both of them just went, oh, fuck. And it was like they were clearly like massive atheists. And if you want math as this isn't an anti-God comedy show, right? For two reasons. One, because I'm the most apathetic atheist in the world, and two, because I need my marriage. I'm not gonna lie to you. But our relationship is very strong. The wife and I, we've been together for 18 years. We got together after 2 weeks, got engaged after 2 weeks. It's worked. It's okay. The reason being is that, well, basically, you know, who's in a relationship? Who's in a couple here? Right? You guys are in a couple. How long have you been together? 8 years. Congratulations. 8 years is enough. I like the way that you both went. Question: do you both drink?
Yeah.
Excellent. Have you both seen each other drunk?
Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's not the basis of any relationship, I just want to point out. But the basis, I think, the strength of any relationship is if you've seen one of your partners completely pissed as a gourd when you're stone cold sober. It's true, isn't it? Everyone goes, oh yeah, actually yeah. Because the thing is that after 2 weeks together, my wife went to a barbecue and she got so drunk, right? I had to rescue her from this barbecue and it took me 45 minutes to get her from the front door to the bottom of the stairs, right? Because she was just completely gone, right? Legs were just everywhere, and she was getting a little, you're nodding in agreement there, aren't you? Legs, and she was getting a little bit emotional too. It was all a little bit like, I love you. I love you. Why are you laughing at me? And some of you are looking at me going, oh, Aidan, don't be a prick, that's really sweet. And it is, yes, but I haven't told you yet about the snot. I love you. And you know when someone's that drunk, right? You love them, you know you love them, but all you want to do is you want to get them indoors, get them upstairs, put them in the recovery position in bed, leave them with a bucket and fuck off, don't you? That's all you want to do, right? But she was so determined to get to the downstairs loo, and that's when she did the most amazing thing, right? She just went on. And I just thought, that determination, that self-control, that's the woman for me. And we've been together ever since. It's been great. I mean, so this has been fantastic. Cool. I mean, obviously our Sundays are a little bit different now. I mean, I'll walk her to church. We've got some dogs, so I'll walk her to the church with the dog so she can go and play with her friends. And it's great because we've got two little dogs, got a Westie and a Staffy. I got the tattoos after I got the Staffy so I could blend in. And just in case any of you are wondering, didn't seem to match with the voice, Aidan. And the thing is that I drop her off at church, and it's great, you know, we're all very relaxed about it. I say, oh, have fun with God. And she says, oh, have fun with the existential dread of nothing. And it's fine, it's fine. I mean, the thing is that the church, I mean, I don't know if it has faith, don't worry, I don't have lions backstage, I'm not going to release anyone. But the thing is that the thing about the vicar there, we've got a lovely vicar, but they want you to join in. Because, you know, the Church of England, they're lovely people, they're obviously getting benefit, but they want you to join. I'm not saying it's a cult, but it's a cult. And they kind of want you to join in, you see, and I'm not a joiner, I'm a comedian, you know, and comedians aren't joiners, and I think the Christian faith has enough joiners as it is. Well, let's face it, one of them was one. Fuck you. Do you know what, I did that joke for the first time this Fringe, right, and a guy came up to me afterwards and said, you do realise that joinery was not a major part of the carpentry until the Middle Ages. Oh, fuck off! But Betsy, the vicar, she's really lovely, and they're all very keen. She goes, no, Aidan, do come in, you won't burst into flames. I said, Betsy, you're the only one in this relationship who thinks that could possibly happen. And then my wife said, no, stay, because we're having bacon sandwiches. And I was like, oh. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the thing that's going to lure you in, isn't it? I mean, obviously it's not going to work with all faiths. I like that one because everyone goes, oh, we like to laugh at that part. So so my wife's, I mean, I'm learning things. I'm learning all sorts of things. For example, when it comes to the communion, I didn't know. Obviously, you have the wine, you have the blood of Christ, and you have the wafers, the body of Christ, right? And I didn't know that the gigs, right? They have to guesstimate as to how many people are going to turn up, right? And if they overestimate as to how many wafers they need, they've got leftovers. You can't just throw those away, right? Because they're like the representation of the body of Christ. You can't just chuck them in the bin, right? So Betsy was telling me there's only 3 ways you can legitimately get rid of them, right? You can either eat them, burn them, or bury them. And see, when she told me this, unfortunately, a little bit too quickly, I said, well, you don't want to bury them, do you? Because 3 days later, they'll come back. Like some kind of zombie Pringle. So my wife's always supported me up to this point of becoming a comedian, and she's on a path, like, so she'll be going to ecumenical college for a couple of years, and then she passes that, she'll become a curate for 3 years or so, and then there's the trial by fire, and the live ammunition round, and that's Harry Potter, and then she'll become a vicar, because for me it's a bit different, because I'm a comedian and we don't have a set path. Everyone moves at different paces. I've got some friends who shot ahead, and I've got some friends who are, I'm not saying there's a league table, there is totally a league table. But the thing is that it's different for comedians, it really is. I mean, for example, I remember once driving to a gig, and by the way, if you ever want to get into comedy, that's how you get in, get a driving license. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed how many gigs you suddenly get when you can drive. And I remember driving, and all of the comedians in the car, we were all under 10 gigs. No one had done more than 10 gigs, right? And behind me was Sean McLaughlin, who's just finished tour support for Ricky Gervais. Next to him was Angela Barnes, right, okay, who's just obviously on Mock the Week and Radio 4's News Jack, right? And next to me in the front was a man who's on a bit of bad luck at the moment. He's down to his last 7 television shows. It was Ramesh Ranganathan. Are we aware of him? Yeah. I didn't know. He's in a poor state. He's got a Kickstarter page to donate. He's down to his last 3 million. And no, I love it. I really do. And I've never been jealous. I really honestly haven't, right? No, fuck you. I really haven't, right? Because seriously, all I've ever wanted for my gig is I've always been very realistic, right, okay? All I've ever wanted is to hopefully have an audience, right? Air conditioning, and maybe one day get on Radio 4. Right? That's all I've ever wanted, right? Okay, well, truthfully, it's all my mum's ever wanted. Seriously, that's why I was raised with this voice, is so that I could be on Radio 4 one day and get beaten up at school every day. But no, my mum hasn't made, so every so often she's a little bit disappointed, so I do phone her up and she'll go, Northfoot 0, Southfoot 0, strong winds moving in from the west. And she's as happy as Larry. It's great. But I've honestly, I should tell you the truth, sir, you kind of shrugged when I said, once I was jealous, right? Would you like to hear the story of when I was jealous? Now that I'm going to do that bit in there because someone's just walked in. Hello! Hello, welcome. Right, basically, my wife's training to become a vicar. I'm an atheist. It's all going to be lovely. You're late. You're going to pay for it later. It's going to be fine. So no, there was one time when I was jealous. I'll tell you. Basically, I did a media degree, which means I've spent all of my adult life working in retail. And I live in Brighton. Were you aware of Brighton?
Yes.
Yeah, anyone not been to Brighton? A couple of you haven't? Okay, a few other people around. Don't worry, if you haven't been to Brighton, you've probably got an idea of being lovely and full of vegans and hippies and green MPs, which it is. But a lot of it is like that. Unfortunately, a lot of it is also like Jeremy Kyle Live. And I used to run a Poundland on a place in London Road in Brighton, right, which is a particularly rough part of Brighton, right? The best way to describe the London Road, now I don't know where everyone is from here, and there's too many people to go through, but they're all over the UK, these people. The best way to, I don't want to sound snobbish, but the best way to describe it is the people who wear the fleeces. You know, the wolf fleece people? You've seen them, haven't you? Usually at bus stops there's like a blue one, isn't there? There's the ice wolf, right? And sometimes you see the brown version, you know, the desert wolf, right? Yeah, it's true, isn't it? And no one knows where the fuck those people have come from, but I'll tell you where they're going, the London Road in Brighton. So this is a totally true story. Now I know when you get a comedian on stage and they go, it's a totally true story, and they go, oh mate, you're making half of this. Trust me, I am not making anything up in this show. This is one of the few shows I've been able to do where everything is totally true. And this is the true story of when I got made. So there I am. I'm in my Poundland store, right? It's Monday morning, 10 o'clock. I've got 2 aisles. There's me and one other guy. That's all the people who I've got in, right? He's on the till. I'm loading up the crisps, right? A woman arrives. Bear in mind, it's Monday morning, 10 o'clock. She's 25 years old. She is pissed as a fart. She is absolutely out of her gourd. I know this because she announces her arrival with the oh so eloquent statement of, "Oh, fucking hell, it's Poundland." And I look up and think, oh God, I see she's with a guy. Now, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, right? But he's clearly on some kind of drugs, right? Because he's just doing this. But they both seem quite happy. So who am I to get in the way of their Monday morning revelry? Not I, right? They go down the first aisle, they make it halfway down. She says the thing that everyone says in Poundland. You've probably said it yourself. You know the sentence. Oh, I wonder how much this is. Oh, hang on, I'll get it to £1. So she comes round the corner, right? And she sees me straight. She comes straight up to me and goes, excuse me, where are your crisps? She says, no mate, where's your Monster Munch? I go, I'm terribly sorry, I'm afraid we're out of Monster Munch. I'm afraid we haven't had it. Don't you lie to me! I know you've got the Monster Munch! Where have you hidden the bloody Monster Munch, you bastard? Where the hell is it? I go, whoa! You need to calm down, right? She then gets bags of crisps, chocolate bars, cans of drink, throwing everything she possibly can at me. It's just madness. I pull out my phone, I go, you need to stop, I'm going to phone the police. She stops dead, right? There's a moment's silence. You know, like when you've ever had to deal with someone really, you know, like in your house at night. You know, when you've had to really deal with someone really drunk and you just don't know what the fuck's going to happen next, right? It was probably just a nanosecond, but it felt like an hour, right? And she just looked at me, right? Looked at the guy, and he's fine, right? And out of nowhere, right, she just goes, ah! Paedophile! Ah! She then runs the entire length of the store screaming, paedophile, paedophile. Comes up the other side, right, doing the same. I just step over the gap as if that stops her dead, as if to go, how the fuck did he do that? She then starts throwing shampoo bottles at me, deodorant cans, like everything she possibly can. Eventually, I corral her out of the store, look at my colleague at the till who's just going, and I'm looking at the people in the queue and I'm thinking, well, welcome to the London Road in Brighton. And then I remember the guy. He hasn't left. So I look down the first aisle and he's not there. And I look down the second aisle and there he is. He's right down at the end, he's in the book section, right? And he's picked up a specific book, and I know which one it was, because I'd only put them out that morning. It was these little stubby red Spanish-English dictionaries, right? I know, only £1. And he's got the book up here, I can't quite see what he's doing with it, but from the angle I'm at, it looks like he's trying to inhale the book. And I'm thinking, that's not how you learn Spanish. So I get a bit closer, right, and I can see what he's actually doing, because he turns, and what he's actually doing, no word of a lie, he has the book, he has a lighter, he is burning the cover of the book because he is smoking heroin off the cover of the book. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't want him doing this. Now, as some of you may have gathered, I'm quite an alpha male, right? And I get a bit closer and I deal with it in the most alpha male possible way, right? I just go, excuse me. And he just turns and goes, what's the problem? I said, well, you're burning a book and you're smoking heroin in a Poundland. Like, outside would be fine, you know, life choices. And he was lovely. He just said, would you want me to stop then? And I was like, yeah. He said, I suppose you want me to leave now? And I was like, yeah, would that be okay? He was like, yeah. Now, I know the long-term effects of heroin use must be quite bad, but quite frankly, as far as his behaviour was concerned, everyone should be on heroin. It was an utter delight, right? Right up to the point where he said, well, could I at least take my book with me? And that's when I got really angry, because it wasn't his book, he hadn't paid for it. And I'm sitting there arguing with him, and I think, what am I doing with my life? I'm 47 years old, I'm reasonably good at talking to people on stage, and yet there I am in a Poundland on the London Road in Brighton having an argument with a drug addict over a £1 Spanish English dictionary, which is effectively a very, very long-winded way of saying it's really nice to be here at the Fringe. So I get in my car, I'm just thinking, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this. I get in my car, I turn on the radio, Radio 4's on. We've got any Radio 4 fans in? 3, excellent. This next 10 minutes going to fly. I said that the other day and I had the weirdest heckle I've ever had in my life. Guy sat where you are, sir. There's an older gentleman, he's about 90 years old, right? I went, any Radio 4 fans? He went, I hate Radio 4. I've never encountered such vehemence, right? But then, before I could work out what to do, he just backed it up by going, it's Radio 3 for me, all the way. Those guys are militant, man. So I turned on the car and Radio 4's on, and there's a show called A Good Read, which if you haven't heard, is basically just a lovely presenter. It's the most Radio 4 of Radio 4 shows. There's a lovely presenter, and there's 2 guests, and they've all chosen a book. Lovely. And they're all just going to have a lovely chat about books. Lovely, right? You just need that and gardener's question time and your blood pressure goes right. And I thought, oh, this would be great, right? And I turned on just in time for the announcer to say, and our other guest today is Ramesh Ranganathan. And I know it's pathetic and I know it's trivial, but I found myself getting jealous. And I thought to myself, my God, look what I've done all day is just argue with drug addicts. And it looks like the only show that I could get on Radio 4 that none of my colleagues have is Farming Today. So I get home and I'm speaking to my wife and I said, well, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this. And she's been fantastic. She just says, well, look, the comedy's doing well. It's doing better. You know, we can make that work. And I've got the Vicar stuff going. We can make that work as well. And she's always been there for me. She's never let me. She's so amazing. She really is, right? She's backed me up all the way. She's never denied my wanting to be a comedian. She said, let's go for it. So who am I to get in the way of her becoming a vicar? Do you know what I mean? Who am I to get in the way of her dream? Who am I to get in the way of her calling, you know, to potentially have a 5-bedroom vicarage in Sussex? I'm not going to lie to you guys, those places are fucking awesome. But no, seriously, I think my wife's going to be an amazing vicar, I really do, because she just loves everyone, she just cares, you know, she's very much in the sort of lovely end of the Christian pool, do you know what I mean? It's all very, let's all be nice and lovely or whatever, and you know, the Bible is a guideline, and I'm, as I said, the most apathetic atheist in the world. I just think that, you know, people fuck it up on both sides, whether they be extreme atheists or zealots, do you know what I mean? But zealots on either side, they just fuck up everything. I mean, zealots fuck up religion, and politicians fuck up politics, and vegans fuck up vegetarianism. I'm not going to lie to you guys, that gag didn't work out well in Brighton. But I think she's going to be great, because I think she's going to be fun. Because, well, one of the things that I think is going to be fun is the fact that she's a massive fan of the popular beat combo Green Day. Has anyone heard of this band? Yes. I realise I said like the most dad thing ever by going the popular beat combo Green Day. But she's like a super fan, right? So much so that I could stub my toe, right? And she'll go, oh, well, Billy Joe Armstrong, the lead singer of Green Day, once stubbed his toe. I don't care! Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of mentalness, right? And the thing is that just for fun, what she does now is she adds Green Day lyrics into all her sermons. So I just think it's awesome. Do you know what I mean? It has, however, led, right, inadvertently led to the best and only heckle I've ever heard in a church. Right? We only did a week here last year because, you know, they wanted a proper holiday. So we went camping in France because I had a desperate need to hear Frenchmen fart half a mile away at night. And, why camp? I don't understand camping. Angela Barnes has a lovely line. It's like basically why pay money to stay somewhere shitter than where you live? It's true, isn't it? It's like even when I was at uni, people go, wait, we're going to Glastonbury. I was like, yeah, which hotel are we staying in? Yeah, oh, okay. So we went along, and obviously we're listening to a lot of Green Day in the car, and obviously my daughter's with us as well. She's 13, so we're listening to a lot of her favourite band, which is My Chemical Romance, which there's nods there from the young people in the front. Yes, you know, they've got a good beat, and I realised again that was even dadder, wasn't it? That's ridiculous. So we're listening to like all these things. Consequently, my wife becomes obsessed, right, with My Chemical Romance and tries to sneak their lyrics into one of her sermons, which massively backfires. When both of them go to church one day, I go to pick them up. I can hear my wife giving the sermon, and all of a sudden I just hear my daughter go, "That's not fair, Mum, that's my band!" So I wanted to help, I wanted to help because she's helped me with the comedy. Like, the worst thing in the world, if you're a partner of a comedian, it's terrible because all comedians, you start with your 5-minute sets, and when you change things, like for the first 1,000 times you do it, your poor partner has to hear it, and you seriously, you sit there and they just go, I've got a new bit. Really? Is it really new? Yes, it's a totally new bit, but I have to do the 5 minutes because otherwise it won't make sense. Is it really new? Yes, it's completely new. Is it really new? Really? Yes, it is really. Is it really? I've changed a comma. So I thought, she's put up with a lot from me, so I wanted to get her a prezi, right? And the problem is I do want to get her like roses and chocolates, because that's just anything. I wanted to get her something meaningful. And I had a look, and I thought what might be fun, because she's got so much learning to do, right? I thought, because you can get audio Bibles. Right? You can get like the thing. I thought this would be good. She could listen to these while she's reading other things and saving the planet. And I thought this would be fun. And some actors have done, like for example, David Suchet, him from Poirot fame, has done. I don't think he's done it in the Poirot voice. By the way, I don't think it's like it was a centurion on the mount with the candlestickings. I don't think it's that kind of deal, And I thought, well, I'll get that for her, right? Okay, but it's like 150 quid, right? And I love her dearly, but and I thought, well, what I could do is because I've got the Radio 4 voice, right? And also because there might be voiceover agents in. Okay, I thought, well, I could record the Bible for her. I could do the audio Bible for her, right? And I was in a position recently where I had the time to do it, which I'll tell you about later. But I thought, I could just record this. This will be fine, because I've got the Radio 4 voice, haven't I? It's like, in the beginning, God. That's a good voice, isn't it? The problem is, right, I got a little bit bored. Right? Well, no, because like when a friend goes on holiday and they bring a book back and they go, oh, you've got to read this book, it's amazing, and you get halfway through and you go, oh, I'll wait for the movie. Do you know what I mean? The Bible's like that for me. It's not fun. No, not enough car chases. You know what I mean? So I'm so I thought, well, I can't help it. I got a bit bored. And the problem is, I should point out, bless you, I should point out that. We've had to script that every day. I don't do impressions, I should point out, but I do sort of do impressions of other people's impressions, right? And I'm not saying they're great voices, but look, wait, you'll probably see where I got a bit bored. I got as far as the Gospel of Mark, which coincidentally is my wife's favourite gospel. Apparently she doesn't like John because John has several different ghostwriters and therefore doesn't have a clear narrative structure. Therefore making John the Katie Price of the Bible. If it's true, everyone who laughed is going to hell. So see, I'm having fun. So see if you can spot where I basically got bored. Another time, Jesus went into the synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Some of them were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus, so they watched him to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath. Jesus said, "Stand in front of everyone." Which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil? To save life or to kill? And the people said, "You are the Son of God." I don't think she's got that far yet because she hasn't punched me. I started pointing out, if you do get as far as the book of Revelations, which is quite a heavy read, it's a lot more entertaining if you do it in the voices of Pinky and the Brain. What are we going to do tonight when the fourth angel blows his trumpet, Brain? Well, we do every apocalypse, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You've killed her.
And breathe. It's going to be okay.
I'd give her 5 minutes.
Sorry, 5 minutes. I've already gone out. Okay, seriously, you look like you're asthma. No. Okay. So the thing is, right? So I read the Bible, and it's a good read. It's a good read. I mean, you know, it's a page turner. I can see why it's been so successful, and I can see why the movie adaptations have been quite tough. And yeah, and it's just stories, isn't it? It's just parables. And it just reminded me about like some stories I've heard, and I was reminded, I've forgotten about when I was 15. I was lucky enough to meet the best storyteller I've ever met. My mum started cooking for this older gentleman who needed help, and he was 80 years old at the time. And she came back and she said, "You've got to meet this man. He's incredible, right?" And his name was John Trevelyan, and he was the British Board of Film Censor Chief from 1958 to 1971. Right? And this man could tell a story, right? He told me like amazing stuff. You know, like when you hear a good storyteller, you don't care if it's true or not, do you know what I mean? And it's just lovely to hear great stories. He would tell me stories about like David Niven and Cary Grant and meeting Andy Warhol and all these people. He told these most amazing, he was fantastic. I found a picture of him on the internet. Everyone can see this all right? There he is. There's John, cigarette in hand. He would smoke constantly, right? And I remember once going to see him, and he'd stopped smoking, but he still had the cigarette, just to, sort of for the habit, you know. And he had a great voice. And I said, "Have you quit?" And he said, "I've decided to quit. It's very bad for you, you know." And I went back a week later, and the entire place surrounded in smoke. And he started obviously. I said, "You started smoking again, John?" He said, "Well, I felt terrible. I went to the doctors, and the doctor said, 'Well, look, fuck it. It's not going to make any difference now.'" And he said it with such panache, do you know what I mean? It was just amazing. And there were two stories that really sprung out that I remembered, right? One of which, I'm not going to lie to you, has like sort of split groups, right? Okay? I just pre-warn you. I think we're going to be okay today. And the other one I think is a delight. Both of them involve a film director called Anthony Mann. And he and John were like thick as thieves, right? And Anthony was a massive perfectionist. And one day they had to go to like a crematorium, right, for a ceremony, right? And they turn up, and the lighting's not right. And this isn't good enough for Anthony, right? So what Anthony does is he goes, "You keep everyone back, John. I'll go and sort it all out," right? He goes over to the thing, finds the control switch, and starts flicking the switches to get the lighting right, unaware that he flicks one switch, and the coffin slowly Yeah, that's the horrific one. Needless to say, the guys in the other room went, "Oh, it's here." I told you it's split rooms. The other one, though, is a delight, right? The other one is amazing. In 1968, he and Anthony were invited to the Moscow Film Festival, right? And obviously it's during the height of the Cold War, right? And the problem is, of course, so they get a visit from MI6, right? And this man turns up and gives them a bit of a lecture and warns them that, you know, they will be recorded at all times, they will be filmed at all times, right? And also, as well, of course, they'll try to blackmail them, they'll try and entice them, there'll be recording devices everywhere. They must be absolutely careful that they hold the dignity of the British Empire. Right. So they do this by getting absolutely pissed. So they're in their hotel room and they suddenly remember, right, that there's listening devices somewhere, right? So what they do is they think, "Well, we've got to find them, right?" So they start walking around, they like move the bed, right? They lift up carpets, they look behind curtains, right? There's a chest of drawers, let's move the chest of drawers. They move the chest of drawers, right? And there in the wall, right, just behind the chest of drawers, right, is a door. It's a little door, and it's in the wallpaper. You can't even see it from a certain angle, it's there. So they open it up, and inside, right, is the listening device, this electronic listening device with wires coming out of it. So they order up room service, they order up caviar for two so they can both have knives, because they're going to take it apart. They open up the door. There's the listening device. But it's not the listening device. Of course it isn't. It's the electricity junction box. Which John confirms when he shoves his knife in. Gets blown across the entire room. But of course, in John's version of the story, what that does is that fuses the electrics for the entire hotel, therefore stopping the KGB's recording equipment, and therefore single-handedly saving the British Empire. Isn't that magnificent? That's such a lovely story. And the thing is about stories like that is that, I mean, the things with the Bible, the stories in the Bible, you have to take those on faith, don't you? Because that's how religion works. You take those on faith and you live by those stories. And the things with John's stories, I kind of didn't want to check if they were true or not because I loved them so much, right? But unfortunately, we've got great temptation in this world, and it's called Google. And I thought, well, I'll go and have a look, and I'm glad I did because I think it was all true, right? I found this phone.